Hey, I'm Brent Ehrler with Lucky Craft, and guess what? The BDS series is back. This is one that people have been wanting so bad. It's crazy. I've been fortunate that I've had a few in stock and have still been able to use them. I can't tell you how many fish I've caught on the BDS line. BDS stands for Big Daddy Strike. It's such a great shallow running crankbait. The original one that I've caught the most fish on is the original BDS 3. BDS 1 and BDS 2, let's go from shallow to deepest. The BDS 1 and the BDS 2 are a pretty fat bait. They are going to be more buoyant. Good for running a little bit shallower. Two things about the BDS series. One, it has a rounded bill on it, so it's not a true square bill. For that reason, the BDS 1, the BDS 2, and the BDS 3 are all very good grass crankbaits. Now, normally you think of grass crankbait, you think of a lipless crankbait. The BDS series is a very good grass crankbait because of that rounded bill. The buoyancy part with the 1 and 2 makes it really good for shallow wood cover. So if I'm fishing around any kind of shallow wood, I like the BDS 1 and 2 because they're more buoyant, they're fatter, to where when you hit or you're trying to run through wood, it can back out and away from the wood. If you're running that thing, you feel it pull into that stump or a lay down tree, a slight pause and it can pull up and over the wood and not get snagged. So the 1 and 2 are buoyant. They don't go as deep, so they're great in grass. You have the rounded bill, which is great in grass. The buoyancy helps around wood too. So the 1 and 2 are slightly different than the other ones. These are going to run shallower because of the buoyancy. When you just look at the difference between a 2 and a 3, you can tell there's a lot more open space, buoyancy in that crankbait versus the BDS 3. The BDS 3 is going to be narrower, skinnier, and therefore it's going to go a little bit deeper. So I like the 1 and 2 around shallow grass or around wood. The BDS 3 is one that I like everywhere. It is such a good crankbait. I've caught more big fish on the BDS 3 than I have any other shallow running crankbait. For some reason, that size, that shape, that vibration triggers bigger strikes than other crankbaits will. So BDS 3, great around grass, great around rock, very good springtime crankbait. All of them are great in the spring. Post-spawn, I think that's when you're kind of lean towards that BDS 3, or maybe the bigger ones that are go a little bit deeper. Pre-spawn, spawn, I would say the 1 and 2, just for the fact that you're gonna be in a little bit shallower water. 3 is gonna be one I throw post-spawn, summer, fall, especially in the fall. I've caught a lot of fish in the fall on the BDS 3. BDS 4 is gonna have more buoyancy than the BDS 3, but now we're getting into a little bit bigger bodied bait. BDS 4 is great in some scenarios, like this is a great BE gill color that's gonna be good when those fish are targeting on bluegill. It's also very good in like the teal craw, the red colors in the spring in certain places like the California Delta where they like those big red baits. So the BDS 4s are very good for that. Then you go as big as the BDS 6, which is a very big bait, but guess what? It's not that big. Again, this is a bait you'll throw out there and you'll catch a 2-pounder on it, but if there's a lot of gizzard shad, post-spawn, the shad start spawning, a lot of times the shad will be bigger. Anytime you have those bigger shad, go with that bigger BDS 6. It's a good casting bait, you can cover a lot of water. It's gonna go deeper than the whole line just because it's a bigger and heavier bait. So you could even ledge fish with this on shallow ledges. If you have a spot that's in the summer, the fish are still up kind of shallow, but on the main lake, this is a really good way to target those fish, especially if they're keying in on gizzard shad. Now, there's 2 other ones that aren't as popular in a sense that they haven't really been around. That's the BDS 2.2. It's in the body shape of the BDS 3, it's just a little bit smaller. So again, this is gonna be one less buoyant. It's not one that I'm gonna necessarily throw around wood. I'm gonna throw that around rock, I'm gonna throw that around grass. But now, if I feel like the 3 is a little bit too big, as far as the size of the hatch, the size of the shad or the size of the bluegill, then I'm gonna downsize to the 2. Or if I feel like there's a little bit more pressure on the fish, I like a smaller bait because it's just a smaller profile. Anytime you can decrease the size, that's where you get into that more finessey approach and hopefully get more strikes. Now, the same scenario between the 2.2 versus the 3 is what I'm gonna do with the 1.2. This one is going to be the same style body, the same shape of body, just a hair smaller. So it's not going to run as deep as the 3. It's not going to run as deep as the 2.2. It's going to be great around grass, it's going to be great around rock, but now just in a slimmer, a little bit smaller profile. So bringing back the entire BDS series is something that, you know, Lucky Craft has been asked over and over again. I've got asked, you know, a ton over the years, hey, tell Lucky Craft to bring them back. They have. Not only have they brought them back, but they're now including the 2.2 and the 1.2 in that line that I think the customers are going to be pleasantly surprised. They haven't seen those. They've seen these. They're excited they're back, but guess what? There's 2 more versions out there to choose from. So the BDS series is back.